starting to send you. Oh, God. How are you folks?
Thank you for joining the Dougherty County Board of Commissioners Commission meeting. Your Dougherty County Board of Commissioners is chaired by Christopher Cohelis. Your Dougherty County Commissioners include, from District 1, Lamar Hudgens; from District 2, Victor Edwards; from District 3, Clinton Johnson; from District 4, Russell Gray; from District 5, Gloria Gaines; and from District 6, Anthony Jones. We are also joined by County Administrator Michael McCoy, Assistant County Administrator Scott Addison, County Clerk Juwan Ware, and County Attorney Spencer Lee. This is your Dougherty County Board of Commissioners Commission meeting.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call to order the Dougherty County Commission regular meeting for July 6, 2020. We will begin with a roll call. Commissioner Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Gaines?
Present.
All right. Commissioner Gray?
I'm here.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Hudgens?
Here.
All right, all present and accounted for. If everyone would please stand for the prayer and then the pledge. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that we have to come together for the citizens of Dougherty County. Thank you for the resources that you have provided us with. Thank you for the many efforts, the many people that have worked hard during these trying times to bring us towards progress. Thank you for the progress that we have achieved and done so in frankly, a very relatively short period of time. We also ask for blessings on those families that have lost their families, and please provide us with continued understanding and collaboration as we move forward. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We will begin with delegations. This is where the commission will hear comments on those items pertaining to Dougherty County for which a public hearing has not been held or scheduled. We ask everyone to be brief, to the point, and considerate of time for others. And our first is citizen Arlington A.J. Neely, who is present to discuss a petition to enforce compliance conditions of operation for Southern Industrial Coating, LLC. All right. Good morning. If you would please, for the delegations that are present, just step up to the mic right there. Good morning. Are you Mr. Neely?
Yes, I am.
All right. Very good. Go ahead, Mr. Neely.
Thank y'all for allowing me to be here this morning. And I'm here because of this sudden industrial coating. And the reason why I'm here because my investigation started around in March when I noticed a large sum of dust in my driveway, my car. And then I thought about this company because I work for a company called Southern Mechanical and Pump that moved from here into Florida. And I was the one doing the sandblasting. When I saw it, I know what it was. I traveled all the way. I did tanks in Alabama and Florida to raise water plants, and then I drive out, taking my wife to work. I noticed a large sum of dust coming from this company. So when the EPD went out there, and on May the 19th, they discovered large sum of dust, and so they also, this violation was done back in 2008. In my investigation, I find out that this came before the commission before, maybe 4 years ago.
Mr. Neely, let me interrupt you for 1 second because I want to make sure I understand what your complaint is. what is it that Southern Industrial Coating LLC, what is it that they're doing that you believe is wrong or against the rules? Can you tell me what that is?
Being experienced during the dust when they sandblast is so open that on a windy day, that whole area it blows, the wind blows it. Then I'm afraid of the contamination that's going in the ground. Maybe 5 years or more, I was standing here fighting Mr. Pippin with the pecan orchard across from my property.
Okay.
Dumping that stuff there.
Yes, sir.
Cost me to put in my warehouse contaminated. I put in over $4,000 worth of system in my pump.
Yes, sir.
I don't want to go through that again because my wife is just surviving from cancer.
Yes, sir.
And so I know what they're doing out there. I'm not here to put the man out of business. I want him to run his business.
Yes, sir.
All I want is to comply. That stuff need the tab that he had back there. Now he has these big old crates. That don't stop that dust from coming up.
I understand. Let me ask this question. Is there a local rule or like a state law that you believe he's not following? Do you know the answer to that? And if you don't, that's fine. I'm just curious.
According to the EPD, when they visit on May 19th, they saw the large amount of dust. And it said the division record indicate that this happened in 2008. And then it says that this is a violation of Georgia Air Quality Act
Okay.
It is a violation, and they could be fined up to $25,000 a day.
I understand.
And so, my concern for me, my wife, and the community, if this stuff goes down in the alcohol, it's going to affect our well.
Yes, sir.
And so, being an experienced sandblaster,
we know your time is valuable. Thank you for holding. Someone will be with you as soon as possible.
Hold on 1 second.
Commercial break.
Commercial.
You gotta be kidding me. So, I'm sorry, Mr. Neely. Go
Then you
ahead.
sandblast pumps and stuff. I used to do the pumps and stuff. Whatever bacteria is on that equipment, that sand goes in the ground. And if they use water, it seeps through. It ain't going nowhere, it's going in the ground.
I understand.
And over a period of time, now when I was working for Southern Mechanical and Pump, we had to build a shade in the back with sides all around. I had to put on a mat, uniform, go into a suit. That sand had to be piled up, a truck come and take it probably to the landfill. And they did that. That's the way we got to operate. This company is not operating like that. They on the internet. They are movable. Okay, they go out and do this. They've been doing more work at this site since the first first of this year. Every day.
Let me do this. Mr. McCoy, can we just get code enforcement to go and check this business? And I recognize we may or may not have, I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Carter, are you familiar with this?
Yes, sir, we're familiar. We've been out there, myself, Inspector Ray, since we received this recent complaint, we've been out there multiple times. On the weekend, off time, have not observed any violation of the guidelines that were approved by this board in 2002. I don't have any evidence. Contacted the fire department, which is real close to it. They have no complaints about dust on their vehicles. So I haven't found any violation. Now, any EPD ordinances, EPD enforcers, we haven't had a call from EPD on anything. So at this point, I don't see
Okay.
And,
So maybe the,
in violation, we are ready and able to enforce it. But at this point, we have not observed any violation of these provisions for the special zoning approval.
so, and what we may have is, there are rules that come from the county, and then there are rules that come from the state in terms of EPD. And our rules are not as complicated as the rules that come from EPD. And that's a whole other set of circumstances. But that's good information. Now, Mr. Neely, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
EPD
Yes, sir.
could go out there and they could cite people, but their hands are tied because the code enforcement department here have to do their job.
Okay.
They the one. EPD cannot come in here and then tell, and do that. That's on them.
All right, so Mr. Neely, what I'm hearing from Mr. Carter is that they've been out there a lot, and they're not seeing the same violations. And I'm not saying that there aren't violations. I'm just saying that that's what Mr. Carter and his folks are telling me.
I got pictures to
Uh-huh.
show you
Okay.
where this dust is.
Can we just get that information to Mr. Carter and let him evaluate that?
I mean, during the day, so how could you go over there and look at what I see?
Okay, can we get your pictures to Mr. Carter so he can see them? Is what I'm asking.
Hold on, this one of the residents.
Okay, but I'm asking, can we get your pictures and give them to Mr. Carter? Okay, listen. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, good morning. I'm Mr. Jerry Green.
Good
and I
morning,
live
Mr.
about
Green.
400 feet from the property, okay? Let me explain this to you.
Yes, sir.
You know, this situation has been going on since 2004.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The business came in after we built our house.
Uh-huh.
All right, so I've been complaining to code enforcement for the past few years over 24 times, okay? And each time code enforcement come out, they see everything in sight. I can't believe that he's telling me that he don't see anything. They had a contract with Toyota. They went 9 months straight, 7 days a week, sometimes 16 hours a day. And I talked to Mr. Carter.
Okay.
Okay, so all I'm saying is, even now, they're doing the same thing over and over again.
Let me ask this, and pardon me for my ignorance.
Right.
What is it that they're doing wrong?
Okay, let me explain. You have the letter, you have the memo. Every single thing on that memo that was put out by the manager of code enforcement, they're doing. Listen, there's no tarps up like they should. The dust is just flying everywhere. My wife is going to explain her situation, okay, and my situation in our house. We've been talking to everybody. I talked to Mary Teeter. I talked to Robert Carter. I talked to Crowder, the county administrator. I talked to my commissioner. I talked to a whole bunch of people. We had a meeting back in June 2016. They came up with a plan to find out what needs to be done. They did that, okay? They did that. That letter was produced, and that letter is the county's law saying that they have to sandblast new material. It's not new material they're sandblasting. If you see one of the pictures, I'll show you. It's containment tanks coming from with chemicals coming from a factory, and they're doing lawn chairs, they're doing anything they get a hold of. It's not new material. That's what they're doing. They have a website. Take a look at it. They will tell you point blank that what they're doing. The chemicals of this pre-painted material goes into the ground. We don't know what's in the paint. Okay, so all I'm saying is everybody knows about this. And I can't believe that Mr. Carter is saying that he never saw anything when he told me he saw something. He talked to the manager.
All right, so let's do this. Let's focus on, I'm looking here at the letter that y'all procured from, looks like from Mrs. Teeter from the planning department. It was attached to your petition.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
absolutely.
And so when you're talking about new materials being sandblasted, You're saying they're not doing that. They're sandblasting old stuff.
The pictures that he has right here, I can show you, pass them around to you guys so you can take a look real quick if you want to do that, but listen, they're scraping anything they can and they're sandblasting and painting it. They're not doing new material. And listen, the county attorney, he tasked everybody to do a test. So he said, Mr. Green, I want pictures, okay? So I got pictures. He said, you call the you call the Dougherty County Police if you have to, which I did.
Can I see the pictures?
There's a record from the Dougherty County Police. I called them numerous times, okay? And they came out and they witnessed everything I'm saying, right? And the last time I took a picture was on May the 15th. That's when the young man at the site approached me.
All right, so I'm looking at this picture. It's got a dump truck in it.
Right? They have sandblasted a dump truck, the container in the back. They are sandblasted and painted that dump truck on site.
All right.
That is something they started just 2 months ago.
So hold on, and pardon my ignorance.
Okay?
All right, so you got a picture of them sandblasting a cement truck. What part or what rule does that violate? Is that the new material?
That's the new material. It's not new material.
Right.
It's supposed to be new steel, and this was issued in the special approval order.
Yes, sir.
What they're supposed to be doing.
I understand.
Right,
I'm just making sure
Right,
that
right. Okay, I just wanna
I'm
be clear.
translating every single piece.
Right, right, okay, thanks.
Mr. Carter, do you agree that that's a violation of the new material rule?
I can verify that they're actually sandblasting that truck. I have no indication that they're
Okay.
actually sandblasting that truck. I sit there and watch them operate. I sit out beside the road and watch them operate. And I haven't seen them do the,
Well, have your folks asked if they're sandblasting new material or old material out there?
they tell us it's all new material. Now, if it's new material that comes in pre-painted, it's got paint on it. That doesn't make it old. That's
Right.
human.
I understand. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Mr. Green?
Okay, listen.
But you're saying they were sandblasting this?
Yeah, listen.
Saw that and they, dust was all up in the air. The lady across the
Right.
road.
And listen.
Police report.
Right, right. Hold
Can I-
on.
well, what is that?
Police reports.
Can I
It's
see
not
it?
a police report. It's the police was contacted on those dates.
Okay.
The Dougherty County Police, but it's not a report. You have to get the report from the Dougherty County Police Department.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if I can, I just want to say this.
Yes, sir.
We've been going back and forth with this since 2003. And that was a real concern of mine when my eyes were burning, my throat was burning,
Yes, sir.
when EPD proved that they was doing something called black tar.
Say that one more
It's
time.
called black tar.
What does that mean?
Okay, black tar is a coating that they put on steel to keep it from rusting. Okay, so what happened, my eyes were burning, my throat was
Uh-huh.
and EPD, I have the EPD, in fact, if you want the EPD report, they have a long history of complaints. Not just by me,
Yes, sir.
by many people.
I
that I knew.
understand.
So all I'm saying is, this black tar, they gave them guidance on how to use it because they said if it releases to the atmosphere, it can cause catastrophic damage to a human life. You have to read the report. to
Yes, sir.
understand. So I'm not going to stand here and read the
No,
whole
no,
thing.
I
But all I'm
understand.
saying is, that's when, I didn't get the report until 2016 when I had to come before the commission, when Andrew Jones arranged a meeting to meet with these people. So that's when I brought this to the meeting. But that was one of my big concerns because when you read that, it's scary. So
Yes, sir. It is scary.
And so also, this place is 400 feet in my backyard.
Uh-huh.
We can't go outside in the evening after 5 o'clock sometimes because they're stamped past 6 o'clock. They were supposed to stop at 5, but they go past. And so we got to tell what we're doing in order to go outside. Okay? And like I said, on the 15th, we were supposed to go outside. It was a Friday. It's about 6:30. I was going outside and I told my wife, I said, these guys are still going at it over here, right? So I gave them a few more minutes and they're still going at it. So what I did, I got my camera, got in the car, and parked on the right away on the side of the road and took a picture of what they were doing. The owner, I assume he's the owner, he approached me and told me to get off the property. And so what I did, I called Doherty County Police. He said, Mr. Green, you have a right to be there on that side of the road, okay? It's not their property, it's county property. And so he came very, I guess, angry at me, and he ran back to his truck and told me to get off his property. I didn't know what he was going to do, okay? Again, we're not making this up.
I understand. I don't believe anybody's making anything up.
Anybody who rides by corridor on US 19 can see what's going on. I mean, many people in the community, my family members, friends, utility companies.
I can appreciate and understand all that.
They could hardly work because of what was going on.
I think.
And so all I'm saying is, I'm getting tired of code enforcement keep putting this stuff down like it's nothing, okay? They keep saying that they see nothing. When they were doing this Toyota contract, they told Mr. Carter, look, we got to finish our contract. And they did in 9 months after working more than 12 hours a day. So my thing is, they didn't follow any proper measures then. I got pictures of that too from EPD. They even got saying that, well, you got material over here, you got material all over the place. They had the whole yard, it's 20 acres.
All right.
They had the whole yard covered.
Let me say this. I don't disbelieve anything that you're saying.
Right.
What I believe is probably the most likely circumstance is that everything you're saying is true and everything that Mr. Carter is saying is true. But y'all's observations are different because when Mr. Carter shows up, this business probably puts a different story out there. And I'm not picking on them. They're not here to defend themselves.
Right, I understand.
But Mr. Carter's very, he works very hard on a lot of these things. And I'm just saying this from past experience in law enforcement. A lot of times when enforcement shows up, then it's a different story. What I'm trying to arrive at is how do I get to some sort of solution for this issue. And, let me get this out, okay. Please. So what I'm thinking here is, is it a letter? Is it, do we sort of revisit some of these issues? Do we send a letter on behalf of the county just reminding them of what their obligations are and that we expect compliance? I'm thinking through that sort of in my head right now. And I saw Commissioner Jones had his hand raised. Commissioner Jones?
Let me do this and let's revisit this thing one more time. But here's the deal here. Here's what I want to do. The same thing I did when we had the racetrack folks up here. We had a problem with the racetrack neighbors and the racetrack. So let's try to revisit this thing again. Get code enforcement. Get the attorney in. Get Ms. Teeter in. Get all this crowd in together, and let's bring that. Let's invite this gentleman in because of the fact that I want these folks to be neighbors here. We got a business, and we got my folks down there. They are not happy. So what I think would be a good idea, the first start is to get everybody in. Ask the gentleman to come in who owns it, because of the fact that I'm sure he's wanting to be a good neighbor. And let's see if we can sit down.
I think Mr. Green's indicating he doesn't think that we may have moved past the ability to be neighbors at this point.
We've never had.
Yes, sir.
You got to work at some point.
No, I understand. I'm not criticizing. I'm sensing that from Mr. Green. Mr. Green.
Can I just say this? Okay?
Yes, sir.
Listen, again, this has been going on too long, okay? They have talked to these people, Mr. Carter have talked to them, and I agree. His observation may be a little bit different, but what he told me over the years, they did not deny anything that I claimed. That's the whole thing.
So here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to focus, take the past, put it in the trash can, okay? Because the only thing they can enforce now are violations on a forward-moving basis. And I recognize we got all these other instances, and they probably broke a lot of trust with y'all because they hadn't been doing right according to your observations. So like, we got to sort of have
Yeah, we gotta pick it up.
we got to have a methodology for.
Yeah, we gotta pick it up and go forward.
Yes, sir.
Can I make this suggestion? And I think not having both parties here, this is not a court of law, obviously,
Yeah.
it's not a trial. I think it would be fair if the county sent a copy of this letter
That's what I would-
certified to the business owner, right? Reminding him of what his condition of operations are limited to. As a county, we can only enforce the terms within this agreement. Anything else that you feel would be an environmental issue would have to be taken up with EPD, someone like that.
I agree.
And I
with
believe
Mr. Gray.
we could get,
I agree with you. Let me ask this. Can I get consensus? This is what I'd like to do. Can I get consensus from this group?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Gaines?
yes, I'm curious if there is indeed a violation of those special conditions of operation. What is the consequence of his violating those conditions?
I think that's a very fair question. And I'm assuming that they can be cited. Let me talk for 1 second. Let me talk. I'm assuming that they can be cited by code enforcement. Is that right?
If they violate special conditions, then it's an only violation, they be cited.
Can they lose their license?
Not their license, that would be a question for a defendant.
All right. Mr. Green, what were you saying?
Yeah,
All I'm saying is, listen, on June the 21st, 2016, we had a meeting and we did exactly what you just said. Before we had the next meeting on September the 18th, 2016, they were right back at it. Okay.
When you say we did what you're saying, what do you mean? Y'all had a meeting?
Exactly what you just suggested, that you send them a letter, right? Mary Teeter sent them the letter. That's the letter they sent them. Now that's a redacted copy. They didn't show me the unredacted copy. That's a redacted copy that you have in your hand. Mary Teeter, she sent that letter out. Okay, did exactly what you just said. That happened in 2016. But they kept doing what they were doing. Okay, and I have photographs and documentation saying so.
Here's what I would say. I think we need to get the evidence that they have to you so that code enforcement can make its own evaluation as to whether or not their evidence establishes violations on these days. And it looks like they've got some pretty good stuff, but that's not for me to decide. Secondarily, here's the evidence. We're going to give the evidence to law enforcement. They make a decision whether or not that constitutes a violation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And if I might add, and in that meeting we had in June, the second meeting we had June 8th, 2016, no one ever told me to take pictures. I had documentation from people in the community, and at that meeting, the county attorney said, we need evidence, you take pictures.
Right.
He said, call the county police, which I did.
Yes, sir.
That's the evidence he requested in 2016.
Yes, sir.
And so I did all that for 4 years.
Good Lord.
I did all that. So what more do you need? And let me just say this. When that young man approached me, what code enforcement has done, they had emboldened that young man, okay? What he told me, the first thing he said, you can call code enforcement, I don't care. That's what he said, quote, unquote. He said, call them. He got to make his money. He got to pay for that building. That's what he told me, quote, unquote. So again, he admitted in the visit to Angel Gray, which was the officer assigned to the case, he admitted to her that he was in violation. He was working at 6 a.m. in the morning and working past 9:30 at night. He admitted that in the same letter that was presented to them about the violations. And soon after that, he kept going and going and going. Nothing ever stopped because
I think what the chairman is saying, and I'd appreciate all of the evidence and diligence that you and all the neighbors have compiled. We cannot at this point hold any judgment on the business, right?
I understand.
And as Chairman said, we can move from this point forward.
Yeah.
So I think.
But it
let
is
me-
good
let
to
me-
get that evidence.
Yeah, but
too.
I think we do two things. One, we notify the business as a reminder. We'll send a certified letter, and I would like to see if they could even provide an affidavit that they fully understand the terms of this.
What they do understand.
Well, I need it in writing, though. What they tell you
Well, it's a.
and what they tell us
The
are
code
good.
enforcement officer, Angel Gray, wrote it up. Like I said, that's an unredacted copy.
I understand. I can't do anything
That's
about the
redacted
past.
copy, so it's in his system.
Work with me,
Yeah.
okay? Because I understand where your passion is, I understand what your concerns are, and I think that we can work together. We want to be a business-friendly community. This could be the right business in the wrong location, all right? It could be a compliant business working closely with its neighbors, okay? But we need to get to the bottom of that and find out kind of what the root cause of the issue. Are they just completely ignorant and unconcerned about being compliant with the terms that allow them to operate on that site? Or do they need to find another site that will, that zoning would allow for them to do whatever they need to do within EPD and all the other regulations? So, you know, that's what we're tasked with, and we'll work with you, but we can only work from here forward. So,
Let me say one other thing before we move forward. Now, the last time we met in 2016, we did not have the business owners in there that I'm aware of.
Mike, talk into your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is these new mic. We didn't have the business owners there, so it was just like we ordering pizza for the kids and they don't want pizza anymore, they want hot dogs. So we need to bring, I still think that we need to ask everybody to come to a meeting. I believe in doing it the diplomatic way, but we didn't have those folks there. So I think that if we can get those folks, get all our folks in the same method we had everybody here except the business owner. I still think that we need to sit down with this business owner and talk with him and to talk with the people, citizens of District 6 here, and let him know what is going on and what the complaints are, and we need to get these folks. We did it at the racetrack. It worked down at the racetrack. We haven't had any problems out of that. I don't see why we can't do it with this I don't see why we can't do it with this group here. And then if we cannot reach a solution, we cannot come together, then you got to let the talent go with the hide. Then you got to figure out, you got to police them to find out what they're doing wrong. But I still think sitting down and talking is going to be doing this thing diplomatically, because we already have neighbors both of these folks are neighbors. So we want these neighbors to get along. So if we can do that first, and then if he says the hell with it, then we'll do whatever necessary to resolve this resolution.
Yes, sir. Mr. Green, and then I want the
Yeah.
young lady.
Yeah, and, and that's good in a perfect world,
I understand.
but listen, we're not living in a perfect world.
I understand.
And so it's nice to sit down with somebody. And, but
You
like I
gotta have two
said,
people that are operating in good faith, and your position is they aren't operating. in good
Right,
faith. I
right.
understand
And so-
exactly what you're saying. I'm not forming an opinion about
Right.
anybody. I
And-
just understand where you're coming from.
and all I want to say in closing is that I've done everything
Yes, sir.
that the code enforcement asked me to do. I've done everything that the county attorney asked me to do.
Yes, sir.
And I still
You have
get the same,
vote.
or it's a reboot.
Yes, sir.
Every single time, a reboot.
Okay,
It's
let
been
me-
about 10 reboots.
Yes, sir. Let me, hear from this young lady. What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Renee Green, and I'm Jerry Green.
Renee.
Renee
Are
Green.
you, his wife?
Yes, I am his
Okay.
wife.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I just want to briefly speak. He's pretty
Yes,
much covered everything that I was
Yes,
going
ma'am.
to talk about. But what I want to say is, I know this gentleman has said that, Mr. Carter, that he doesn't see any violations. We live there. I'm there every day.
Yes, yes,
I've
ma'am.
had to curtail my activity outside because the plumes of dust particles, the strong chemical odors, and the paint fumes are coming over onto the property, and not only onto my property, but throughout the entire community.
So everybody, what you're saying is everybody knows.
Yes, this is affecting not only my property. The only reason is my house is in close proximity to this business. It's 400 feet northwest of where they sit. And so when they start sandblasting, the plumes of dust particles are coming over into the property, along with the chemical smells. And I'm really concerned about the health, the welfare, and the safety of not only me and my family, but everyone in this community, because it's not only coming towards my house eastward, is going north, south, all directions. In 2016, I'll be real brief, in 2016, I started having some respiratory lung issues. I was referred to a pulmonologist who in turn conducted some tests. And after the test came back, it was observed that I have some abnormal activity on my lungs. And he asked me, do you live near an industrial site? I told him I live near a business that sandblasts, coat, and paint various structures, and that they've been out there for many, many years. And so he told me, he said, well, based on the activity of what I'm seeing with your lungs, more than likely, this is caused from the contaminants that's in the air because you've been breathing it for so long. So again, I'm not concerned only about me, but this stuff is eventually going to affect this entire community in the long run. So he can't stand there and say that he's not observing anything because I'm out there every day. Just recently, May 19th, I called code enforcement, and the young lady told me that based on the complaint that I called code enforcement first, but the young lady that I spoke with, Nicole, told me that this type of complaint falls on the EPD of which I called. It was so much dust.
There?
Thank you, sir.
All right.
It was so much dust coming on the property where I contacted them. They immediately sent a specialist out. And I'm glad that the specialist came out because the plumes of smoke, plumes of dust was coming onto the property. The specialist took pictures. I took pictures and I took video because it was so
Y'all
much
have the
smoke.
EPD report?
Yes, we do.
I want to see that. Can I see that, please?
The violation, notice
Yes,
the violation.
I understand. Believe me, I'm hearing everything you're saying. May I have it? Is what I'm trying to, I want to see it real
So
quick.
I see this stuff every day. I curtail my activity.
Yes, thank you.
Based on what they're doing. If they start sandblasting, I go to the house.
Give me 1 second, Ms. Green. I'm not
Yes,
trying to cut you.
go ahead.
I want to read this for 1 second, okay?
Go ahead.
Where's that on hold music when we need it?
This- This is pretty interesting. All right, I'm going to read this letter to everyone. This is from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources Environmental Protection Division, signed by Tommy Fowler, the program manager, to Mr. Travis Hellman, owner of Southern Industrial Coatings, LLC. Dear Mr. Hellman, on May 19, 2020, the Southwest District Office of the Georgia EPD received a complaint alleging that dust was leaving the referenced Southern Industrial Coatings property when facility personnel used the on-site sandblaster. During a site visit to the complainant's property on the morning of May 19, 2020, large amounts of fugitive dust was observed leaving the Southern Industrial Coatings property site while a sandblaster was in use. This site visit was also revealed that several cargo shipping containers have been placed along the property boundary in an attempt to control fugitive emissions. However, these were not functioning as intended, and no other forms of fugitive dust control were apparent at the site. The Georgia Rules for Air Quality Control, Section 391-3-1, states all persons responsible for any operation, process, handling, transportation, or storage facility which may result in fugitive dust shall take all reasonable precautions to prevent such dust from becoming airborne. Division records indicate a notice of violation was issued at the same site on June 6, 2008 for allowing fugitive dust generated by your sandblasting operations to leave the referenced property. Corrective measures for dust control were subsequently installed but have since been removed due to difficult maintenance resulting from severe weather events. The second notice of violation is issued for allowing fugitive dust emissions to leave the reference property in violation of the Georgia Air Quality Act of 1967 and the rules for air quality control, gives different sections, and provides monetary settlements of up to $25,000 per day for violations of the respective act or rules. Following the site visit, you stated over a phone call that a 16-foot fence will be installed and new dust-reducing equipment will be purchased. You are requested to submit to the division a written corrective action plan and associated time schedule within 14 days of your receipt of this correspondence, outlining the measures to be taken to eliminate fugitive dust emissions from the site going forward. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact this office at that number. So, Mr. Carter, they put up a fence.
No, we're not aware of that. We did not receive any of that notification.
Why don't we need to get this, because I mean, these observations are starkly different than what you're reporting, and so we need to get, I hear everybody, and I recognize that businesses can also sort of change how they act when code enforcement rolls up, too. So,
Chief Carter isn't with the EPD though, so.
I understand that.
If that was going on before we were notified.
Yes, sir.
We have no record of a complaint until this petition came in. We have been quiet, no complaints in our system.
Okay.
Whatsoever from 2016. It has been completely quiet on our.
Until then this happened.
And I don't know anything about that. And I didn't know that there was an ongoing issue until we received this petition that came out. That's when we started addressing it.
So you're hearing a lot of this information today.
After that, correct. And we got a 2016 EPD report from EPD that says no violation.
They didn't have any tarps up. They had no tarps up. But listen, the reason I didn't turn this in before, because the county attorney told everybody at that meeting, the last meeting we had on September 8th, he said not to discuss this case with Mr. Green anymore. So Mr. Green was confused and at a loss. So how can you direct me to get evidence when I can't report it to anybody? I called Anthony Jones the day after. I said, look, Anthony Jones, I said, did he really say what he said? He said, yes, that's what he said. And I said, well, how am I going to get evidence to code enforcement? And so he said, well, you have to try to work it out some way. And so what I did, I called, I think his last name, I can't pronounce the last name, Paul Fogarty, the Director of Planning and Engineering Code Enforcement.
Mr. Green, I believe you followed up. I believe you've done everything you need to do. What I'm trying to do is plot us a solution.
Right.
I believe every word that comes out of your mouth, sir. Okay, you don't have to prove anything to me. I'm trying to sort through this. Here's what I want. I want Mr. McCoy, Mr. Lee, Mr. Carter to get together, and I want a recommendation on how to resolve this issue within a week. I want this on the next agenda for us to talk about and make sure everybody, knows that they can come to this meeting. I want to talk about this, and I want to hear the recommendation in an open meeting and move forward. So I'm not trying to cut anybody off. Commissioner Edwards.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with the chairman, but one thing I'd like to see, based on the letter that we have, that we can do this immediate where we enforce. I like to see those times enforced.
Yes.
If you're gonna stop at 5 o'clock, Robert, you need to go out there and check at 5, or tell the chief of county police to go out there and check at 5 o'clock. I can see you can enforce that.
And I agree with Commissioner Edwards, while I recognize, and Mr. Green, I know you were saying you didn't really like the fact, y'all done the letter thing. A letter that's a little bit stronger, Mr. Lee, were you gonna say something?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a good idea to let the citizens continue to give us whatever information they might have. We're not going to solve this, obviously, here today. So the conversation from the commission really does not get us anywhere. It's just trying to get information. They're here to give information. I think they might have somebody else who wants to add something back there and receive everything that they've got. There are two issues here. One, of course, is whether or not there are any violations out there, obviously, on what they were allowed to do back in 2002. If there are continuous violations from Southern Industrial, then of course they could be taken to court, and their license might be considered to be, to take the license if there are continued violations. The second thing is, even if they're in compliance, I think the citizens are still giving some problems that they've got out there, even if they're still in compliance. I'm not certain there's anything that the commission can do about that. but they're building a record now. This record's gonna be typed up. We'll have all of the information that they're talking about. Staff can then review that information and get back with you. And that seems to be the thing. If they've got additional information, let's get it on record right now.
Yeah, I mean, and if they've got pictures and testimony, and they're willing to go to court to support, you know, to provide testimony, that's obviously something that Mr. Carter can put in his file, and we can move forward. So I think that's, so to reiterate, I want us to move forward on this at our next commission meeting. I want a recommendation. I do think we're going to need a letter, but I want us, I don't want to decide on an action plan today. I want to decide on it at our next meeting once we've digested all of the information. And I'm not kicking the can down the road. I'm trying to get us towards progress, if that makes sense. Is everybody okay with that?
I am. And I would be interested in finding out, you know, that letter that you.
I don't like this letter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This letter does not make me happy.
That's what, we didn't have that piece of documentation there, but what I'd like to do is Mr. McCoy or the attorney, whoever, reach out to the EPA and find out whether those folks have complied with the instruction that they gave in that letter for them to put the fence and whatever that was. So,
Mr. Lee, I'm sorry.
Whatever information they have, I think they're here to present it to you, and we're here to listen, and I'm not certain they're through with their presentation.
Right. And all I'm saying is, listen, again, like you said, kicking the can down the road. Okay, the can down the road. But listen, all we ask for you to do, in May 2016, the county attorney tasked his people to come up with this letter. All we ask that you do is whatever you can do with that letter. It said no new material, no old material.
Yes, sir.
It said no working since past 5 o'clock.
And it's enforced that.
It says keep the tarps up.
Yeah.
And there's one more. But anyway, that's all we ask us to do.
I got it.
I mean, it's not that difficult, and we've been doing that since 2003.
So here's what I think has happened, is I've listened to everything that's been said. There was a communication breakdown. Apparently y'all thought, based on whatever was communicated to you, that y'all didn't need to contact code enforcement anymore with y'all's information. Y'all were just gathering it. What we need to have is, like, when y'all take a picture, when you walk outside and they're still sandblasting at 5 o'clock, you know, take a picture, call code enforcement immediately, let them know that they are doing that right now, and that needs to happen no matter what.
The only problem is code enforcement, they work until 5 o'clock. If they go past 5 o'clock, code enforcement's not there. So that's why the county.
So that's why I need a solution. I want a recommendation from the county attorney or the county administrator, whether it is y'all calling the police department, whether it's y'all, whatever. But I hear you. Is there any other information y'all wanted to present us with today?
Well, in my closing, I just want to say this. Listen, I tried to work with the business, okay? I tried to work with them. They even told me when they moved in that if you guys are outside having a picnic, we'll stop sandblasting. If the wind is blowing my direction, they will stop. I remember Carter just speaking about a wall. They had a wall up. It wasn't effective, but it was, at least they had a wall. What happened was they tore it down. They had tarps up, and they tore it down. And the word was, we're not going to do anything to protect Mr. Green and his family. Now, that came from the manager of that site. He came over and told me that.
I understand.
Just briefly in closing, I would just like to say again, I'm not only concerned about me and my family, but this community that
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
in, because this stuff is floating into the air. It's going everywhere. And I'm concerned about the health, welfare of all of us.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
that's why we are asking you to please have them to enforce the codes that's been set up of what they're supposed to follow. That's all we're asking. That's all we're asking, is to follow the requirements to operate, and that's it.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thank you for my time.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I don't even like being here. I passed in this city for 21 years. I don't even support the Christian Coalition because I'm not a political person.
Yes, sir.
they ask me numerous times to get me crime on crime. I am not that type of person.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want this commission to think that I'm a regular person. I'm an educated man.
Yes, sir.
I got 3 doctoral degrees. I got business management degree. So when I come here, I do my homework.
Yes, sir.
My daddy told me, when you go in the city, if everybody hopping on one foot, hop on one foot till you learn why.
Right.
So before I come here, I did my investigation.
Yes, sir.
When I read Mr. Green, he told me he had done this before.
Yes, sir.
So I just want this commission, the load of this problem fall on Mr. Jones because he represents us. Then he presented to y'all, and then y'all come up with the, I guess that's the way you work. So thank y'all for listening. So now I'm going back and I'm going to watch and see what's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
I've had problems before, and I know how to handle it. Like I said, I'm an educated man. I know people, and I know what to do. But coming here, I come on behalf of the citizen. So I'm not here to shut this man's business down.
I understand that.
I'm telling y'all that that was one of my professions. I was a sandblaster.
Yes, sir.
The court enforcer said that, no, he don't know that. He don't know what I know.
Yes, sir.
So if I'm telling y'all what needs to be done, I've been here, done it.
Yes, sir.
And all we are saying that this man don't have ability to keep in all of this stuff here. And this city, this commission should enforce that. If not, this commission said two things. It may be a good business in the wrong place.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir.
I just got one remark, a question rather. Now, for 4 years, I couldn't talk to my commissioner about this problem, okay? For 4 years, I couldn't call code enforcement about this problem. I want to ask publicly, if I have a problem, can I talk to you, Anthony Jones, my commissioner?
Absolutely. I don't know how that message even got out.
I want to ask the question, can I talk to code enforcement?
Yes.
The reason I haven't talked to you, Robert Carter, is because you know the meeting that we were in, right? You guys were told not to talk to me, correct?
Okay.
Okay, see, what happens is excuses come and turn to lies, okay? I'm telling you point blank. Am I right, Anthony Jones? You had that discussion, and you said that's exactly what he said.
But you were in
So
there.
let me.
But I want to just move past that. I didn't want to bring that up. I don't think it's necessary now. I think we need to pick up from right here and move forward. I don't think we need to bring that up, but we're going to move forward with a new track now. That's what I'd like to do. Because the county attorney.
Mr. Chairman, if there's anybody else that wants to present something, I think they have other people there.
Anyone else want to present? All right. Very good. All right. Mr. McCoy.
Yes, I will take it.
Thank you. And let me just say this. Every citizen can talk to any person, anytime, anywhere, any place. And I recognize there was probably some confused communications that happened.
Well, we're going to clear it up since we're on there, because I don't want anybody to go out here saying something different, okay? When we were in the conversation, the reason why the attorney said for us not to talk to Mr. Green anymore, because Mr. Green threatened he threatened litigation against the county because he wasn't moving fast enough.
I understand.
So with the advice from the attorney, he
I
said
understand.
not to speak anymore. So everybody backed up. So yes, that did happen, but that's why it happened. It wasn't because we didn't want to talk to him.
I understand. Well, that makes sense.
Okay, I
All
was
right.
just following legal counsel. That's what the attorney said, so that's what we
wasn't-
did.
I'm not casting aspersions on anybody.
I just want to know. I want you to know what
That's
happened.
very, very, very fair point. Okay. We are done with that delegation.
Good.
We are going to move on to the next one. Citizen Henry Thomas from the Georgia Music Association, present to discuss restoration for the city. All right, Mr. Thomas.
Oh. Oh. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
My name is Henry Thomas. I don't know whether I want to come behind that, but I'm here on a happier note. I would like to thank, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Henry Thomas. I'm from Macon, Georgia. I'm 71 years old, 12 children, 24 grandchildren. I've been trying to get with this committee for three different commissions. Started with Mr. Gil Barrett, and Mr.
Can you use your microphone, sir? It's hard to hear you.
Then, of course, Mr. I love my friend with Adams, but I want to call him Mr. Adams, but you all know who he is. But to the chairman and to the commissioners, and attorney, and especially my ward, Mrs. Gaines. I hope she's still with us. We had the opportunity to speak with her about on the phone about 6 weeks ago, and we was able to get into the Southwest Georgia newspaper about what our endeavor is all about. What is Georgia Music Association up to? Well, we are a membership association for youth and adult performing artists, their family, state of Georgia, common purpose of being supportive of positive spiritual music, unity, hope, leadership, human development, and life skills. We was able to talk with Chief Persley last year. We was able to talk with Mr. Spruill. We've been talking with Mr. Spruill for about 25 years or more. I talked with both Mr. Edwards and Mr. Jones, and we have came to a place with the city where we're working with the new city CEO for the Housing Authority. And what we are working on right now is in an effort to, I see on the docket they said restoration, to try to restore, to try to rebuild our citizens as we try to, we call it reset, local municipality. I mean, I'm excited about that. I'm excited about what the city could do with the police department and requesting money to be able to retrain police officers. But I'm mighty afraid if we just do that alone, we're going to miss the boat because our citizens have to be retrained too. I've been here 28 years. And my assessment of our citizenry is that we got to do something about changing the mindset of our citizens. Every problem in this community, every crime in this community come out of somebody's house. And my job, my position is to address it. We address it on a day-to-day basis. I do it every day. We're going to be very, very brief, but I did want to give the chairman been here less than a year, but he understands what we've been trying to say for 28 years. And he put in that letter, supporting the work that Georgia Music is doing, Be Ethic, crisis counseling service, laid away from Miami by way of Atlanta. We got a gentleman down here, Mr. Marcus Parker, with health and wellness and fitness. We've gotten with them. It's some 200 non-profit, faith-based organizations working with Mr. Miles as we speak to help him carry out the mission vision of the local city, vision, mission, and goals, state, and the national. And we're going to help him do that, but we're working a project right now. We're talking about being able to take our children, our young people in our community, and give them some hope, give them something that they can be doing in the midst of this pandemic as we're moving through. And as we free up some time to do a studio recording and a video documentary of Albany, Georgia for the last 28 years that I've been here to show the world and to show our people, local citizens, that we have a lot to offer. I hear people talking about there's nothing to do in Albany. That's a lie. There's plenty to do in Albany. People are not taking advantage of it. Our job, our position is to help them understand that better. I've got with me today Tevin and William, Quita, I call it Cupcake. And I also have a gentleman here with me today. I'm very, very excited about the work we've been able to do in the last few days to come together and make a commitment to help begin to combat our city, our county, from a citizen perspective. We have opportunity in our community to organize and to help you all do what you do better. I said it last time I was here. I didn't even do it. It's up to them. I told you that I know how to do what y'all do. I've been on the planet longer than most of you. And I can help any one of you elect me. And that's what we're going to still attempt to do. I want to meet with the chairman. I want to meet with Ms. Gaines. I want to meet with Mr. McCoy. And along with Vanderbilt, Upshaw and his wife. We have a proposal. I want to present the proposal to the chairman and as soon as you can have meetings. We want to explain this. We want to explain exactly what we are doing, what we're going to do, and we're going to turn this whole city around from the bottom up. That letter that we got from Mr. Miles is just a part of what we're going to do in this state to bring attention to all the problems in every city. We're talking about Valdosta, Albany, Columbus, Augusta, Savannah, and Atlanta. Because we got some problems, we got some serious problems, but we're not as bad off as most folks. Because see, it's less than 100,000 folks. It's always the same. What's the, bickering and arguing and fussing? We got work to do. We got children this year. Take what fix it. But nevertheless, I'm going to keep the line we want to meet. Chairman, we want to meet with you as soon as possible. You and the game before we come back to the committee and propose this plan. This is a 5-year plan. And we believe that we can get this work done and save the police department a lot of people writing tickets and all these things. We're going to shut it down. We're going to shut it down from a citizen perspective.
Yes, sir.
We got gang members, all kind of folks who want to come together and help make Albany a better place. And I don't know no better way to do it. Y'all don't spend tons of money on this. We can fix it.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Commission, board members. Okay, first of all, long story short, I'm gonna make it brief. Mr. Edwards, Mobile Paul. I started out on RYC, New Road, 9-10. I went through the transition system from 10 years old up to 40. Probation, parole. My name is Vanderbilt Upshaw. I did the Tommy Williams incident shooting on Elder. Mistake I made back in the 80s. I've been trying to rectify that mistake since I got out of prison. I've been out almost 14 years now. No probation, no parole. I met with Ms. B.J. Fletcher. I met with Shad Spruggs. I met with Bishop Williams over in the church. I even went to Mr. Cohila's, some of his arrangements and speakers. I know Mr. Edwards from other arrangements and speakers. Some of the chairmen, I don't know. But overall, long story short, crime is almost ridden problem in Albany, Georgia, as far as youth. Not Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. If I got to go and point it at the white man, if I don't change my mindset or my children's mindset or the youth mindsets through teaching, music, whatever form of diversion I could take away or I could teach them, in that sense, I think we can make Albany a more productive and better city with the help of the chairman, the commissioners. No, I'm thinking we have to change the mindset of our youth. It's not so much as, giving them treatments to treat this, because the treatment is going to keep coming on and on. But we need a cure. We need to stop it. We need to change the mindset, not just of the youth, but of the elders too. You can't look at the youth and saying, oh, well, they scorn, they because they done crossed over and they did this. They still was somebody's child before they got to that point. Just like you was somebody's son or mother, or however that, it may coincide. But if we don't change the mindset of our people, we'll have them running in the commission office shooting. They'll come in and shoot. Robbing, stealing, whatnot, maybe the occasion. If we don't change the mindset. Drugs, overall major. The drugs they use, not knowing what they putting in their body, not knowing what they taking. and social media, taken away from, you know, education. So many blacks don't know how to read. So many whites don't know how to read. Methamphetamines, heroin, whatever the case may be, whatever the drugs may be. It's a setback to the citizens of Albany, and it's not fair to the citizens of Albany. We're gonna do all we can to try to change the mindset. Not from 18 on up to now, but you gotta reach them at 12. If you don't stop them at 12, they're gonna buy cigarettes. Cigarettes gonna cross over to another drug, alcohol or beer, and they're gonna transcend over and over. And if we as people don't stop it, I don't know what, we wanna meet you so we can ask you, what can we do to try to make it better for the citizens of Albany? Not just black lives, white lives, any lives. You want to make the city a whole lot better proposition, a better place to live, for the people. And I seriously say that because I'm one of the ones that made the city hard. I've been a criminal, crook, and everything under the sun. But at first, I've been a man, you know. So, and I'm thinking, with Mr. Thomas Bell, he enlisted me to try to do it. I'm in Ms. Hayes' office. I'm in the BJ Fletcher. I went on the wall, I walked all over trying to do stuff. And I think if we don't get a chance as people to come together, crook, correct. If I don't learn how to interact with you or you interact with me, we're going to always be at quicksand. We're going to always be divided. That is what the city told me. We need hugs and embraces to come together. We need to come up with a solution. You can talk to us or we can talk to you. Not point the blame, not point the blame. In myself, I want to dedicate my life. The life I have is God led me up to this. To be a better person. To be a better protector, a better teacher, a better father, a better husband. Overall, not just for my children, but every one of my children will come in contact with. White, black, Jews, Gentiles, whatever the occasion may be, I want to make it a better place for my children as well as everybody else's children. And that's all I got to say, man. All right. I'm thinking I'm going to be the national spokesman for the Music Association. So, yeah, we would love to meet with the commissioners and try to get to some kind of understanding we can help our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Thomas. Oh, I'm sorry. Any questions of Mr. Thomas? All right. Was there anyone else to present on your behalf of the Music Association? The young lady here. Oh, okay.
Basically, we are trying to, for the last couple of days that I have experienced with Mr. Thomas, me and my husband, we have basically been under the impression that we are trying to start a program. Basically, the proposal is going to be like on a call to unity, basically bringing all of us together. Like, for example, we would say with medical people, like with having issues and things like that of that nature. Basically, some of the, mental people, they're not just mental people. Some of them are disabled as well. They're not actually just doing what they're supposed to be doing, and instead of these doctors and nurses going out saying, hey, we're gonna go check on these people, instead of just giving up on these people, and then their behavior, health issues are changing because their mental state of mind is telling them one thing, and then they're going out doing another thing. And then with the youth, basically like Mr. Thomas and my husband was stating, it starts with the youth. And right now, at this moment in our life, we're all grown. So basically what we have to do is stand up for our kids and show our kids the right things to do so that when they get grown, our future will be brighter. Their future will be better. It won't be like they're just going back and forth with each other. They're steady, like closing down schools and building more things, but they're not actually just building things for these kids. They're building things for the grown-ups, and the grown-ups are not taking advantage of what is actually happening here in the city. So we're trying to get everybody together to work together so that we can all be on the same page. Like not just going in, taking the parents' kids from them, help the parent. Help the parent so that the parent can help their own kids.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not about taking your child from you. You know, help that parent so that parent can help their own child. Now, if you have a problem where you don't feel like you can help your child, then yes, take the child away. But just as far as a person calling on you and making an accusation, and you're going investigating these people's whole life, that will put a person in distress. So they cannot focus. They
Yes,
cannot live their life to take care of their kids.
Yes,
You know,
ma'am.
and so right now, the citizens of Albany are just under distress. We are basically under distress, and we don't know how to get everybody together to get this distress situation resolved. Because, I mean, we can sit here, like you all said, just a minute about the other case. We can sit here all day and go back and forth, but something has to be done.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if nobody is stepping forward to do these things, then it's basically just bogus.
All right.
You know, so we're trying to come up with a plan, a proposal, you know, to make these things happen. It's not just about music, it's about health, it's about, you know, human development, it's about.
I understand completely, and thank y'all very much for your comments. Commissioner Jones, go ahead.
Mr. Upshaw, I just want to say to you, you described yourself as a crook, but I'm gonna differ with you on that. First of all, you're a man. Second, you're a human being. Third, you're a citizen of Dougherty County who has turned your life around. So as you go forward, present yourself as a human being, as a citizen of Dougherty County, wanting to improve the quality of life for young folks. Good luck to you, and whatever we can do to help you, let us know.
Thank you. All right, very well.
One quick thing, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, Mr. Thomas. One question. Have you actually ever, I guess, a real true proposal with numbers on it, with your scope of services, what you gonna provide to give to Mr. McCoy? This is the second time, but I have not actually seen a true proposal, scope of services. Pretty much, it's just 1, 2, 3. Introduction, scope of services, how you gonna provide that service to the community, who you gonna collaborate with, and the cost of that. See, we keep saying, because to me, every time I see a different organization come before the commission, for some reason, we cannot get together to collaborate with something that's already existing.
Okay.
So it's like if the commission can help, but we already have something in place, but look like we always want our individual program. And that's where I differ with, because I can see our sheriff department, we have a nice program. We all working in the same focus, but then somewhere we missing it because of the collaboration, or is it, I'm stepping out on the limb, personality problems. I want my own show, I want my own shoe, but it can't work like that. So to me, if we get together and collaborate with some, I know we've created 3 new organizations during the COVID-19. So if we really believe that we want the community to be healed, we as the leaders got to set our swords aside and our personality problems aside and really reach out and hold hands and shake hands and say, okay, I really want to work with the sheriff department. I really want to work with Sariga Rising. I really want to work with NAACP. See, I'm black, and I've gone through 4 or 5 different situations over the 26 years. But even me, being going on vacation, I have not seen the collaboration. I reached out for collaboration. There's no collaboration. So I continue to see the same recidivism of the same spokespeople, and that's what really troubles my spirit, because I don't really see, am I sincere about making a change? See, when you see, it ain't no black people, it ain't no white people. It's one human race.
That's right.
The enemy is trying to destroy the human race.
That's right.
Okay? So we don't, see, it's a biblical, what I'm looking for is a biblical foundation of wanting to do right and sincerely wanting to make a change. So again, my question is, within the next week or 2 weeks, put your scope of services in a proposal. Don't say we coming up with a proposal. You put it on a proposal, put the numbers down, and let us give it to Mr. McCoy. Now, one thing I want you to be mindful of, and a lot of people don't know, this commission has really worked real hard, I know, on outreach. But then also we have to consider that our finance chairman, we went through a tough thing this year, and some of the things just kind of got off balance. Well, we're going to have a $6 million fall this year, but we still want to help. So again, let us not think that this commission don't want to work. It just, to me, I continue to see, put what you want on paper, put your numbers together, but also reach out and collaborate with some other organizations that everybody can't be the leader. Everybody can't be the chairman. Everybody can't be the president. You see, I might have to submit myself to an organization that's already existing. Like we already have an organization with the sheriff department. I can see you collaborating with that and speaking with the sheriff to say, hey, we trying to do the same thing. So if you would, in short, put everything on paper, give it to Mr. McCoy, and let us review it. It might not happen this year, but let us review it so we will know which direction we're going into for next year. And so that's kind of what we give you. So I appreciate all your comments.
That's wrong speech. That's what I asked him before. The fact of the matter is that what I found here was a lot of division, criminalization of service, duplication of service. When I came here, we worked diligently to try to work with everybody. I'm talking about from Mount Zion to Second Mile Hollow to Martin Luther King Outreach Mission for 8 years. I sit on that bench. So now what you're saying, I understand. But this whole deal from a spiritual perspective is God's doing. It's God's time. This pandemic, along with the marches and the rallies for justice, have put us in a very unique situation, international situation. So now, yes, we have a proposal. And I'm not going to give it to the commission until I meet with Mr. Cohill. I have my people trying to meet with him for several weeks. Okay? I tried to meet with Ms. Gaines.
Yeah, but that ain't what I asked you to do. See, it ain't about you meeting with the chairman. I'm asking you, as one commissioner, put your proposal on paper. See, you put something in we saying the chair, we want to work with you. So all I'm saying, put your proposal on paper, give it to Mr. McCoy. You telling me you don't want to give it till you meet with the chairman. That's kind of like, that's like a gunfight.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Let's do this. All right, Mr. Thomas, everybody has done a very good job of making the presentation. Mr. McCoy, if you would please follow up with Mr. Thomas following this meeting, have a phone conference with him and update me on that later on this morning. And Commissioner Edwards, thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate that, and I do think the scope of services. If you want to figure out whether or not you want to buy something at the grocery store, you need to be able to look at it first and touch it and feel it. So I appreciate that. We're going to move on because we've taken way too long on delegations this morning, and I've got some items of business to do, and we hadn't even gotten into the rest of our agenda. Are there any other delegations that did not previously sign up that wish to be heard at this time? There are none. We're going to move on to the next item, which is consider for action the approval of the alcohol application for Block Stop Inc., Jefferson Bradwell Lanier III, licensee, DBA Block Stop Travel Center at 1400 Moultrie Road for beer and wine package. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Did I hear that correctly? Yes. Did I hear a second? Okay. The second was from Commissioner Gray. Thank you very much. Any comments, questions, or discussion? There being none, we'll call the matter for a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Consider for action the resolution providing for approval of the fiscal year 2021 contract between the Board of Regents of the University System of Georgia on behalf of the UGA Cooperative Extension Service and Daugherty County Board of Commissioners. The contract is for the salary, retirement, Social Security, Medicare costs for 5 county extension agents for the fiscal year. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? There being none, we'll call the matter for a vote. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Mr. McCoy.
Yes, sir. I want to remind the commission that meetings will be held here in room 100 going forward.
Thank you very much. Mr. Lee.
Nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Hudgens?
Nothing, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, though.
Commissioner Jones?
Another thing.
Commissioner Gaines?
Yes, please. Back to the 7 industrial coding. Would you please include in the report to the commission what remedies the county has if there are violations of the special conditions for our
I think that's a very good point, Commissioner Gaines, and if Mr. McCoy would include that at a next meeting, that would be very helpful. And Mr. Lee, thank you for raising that question. All right. Anything else, Commissioner Gaines?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson? All right. Commissioner Edwards?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to bring the attention to, back to the budget, where the staff itself did a wonderful job with that pay raise. And I was just curious about the numbers, but it's actually with 14 public works employees that salary will be raised. And I just want to, tip my hat off for that. And then that last thing was being funded for the Raven Springs project. During the COVID-19 and our state legislature just working that hard to still get those funds. That was amazing.
It's really big deal.
I thought they were just going.
Yeah, that was a big deal for us. I really wasn't expecting it, but we need to thank them. And I know once we finish up and COVID-19 is over, we're going to have a big party for them. We're going to have a big party for the chairman and Mike, all these folks together here. We're going to recognize all their hard work bringing us through this pandemic and getting us the resources that we need to make a better quality of life for the people of Dougherty County.
And then with Wendy, Ms. Howell, just stretching out, doing that video, that took the time to do that.
That was really good.
We just say thank you, Ms. Wendy, for the extra effort.
Thank you, Commissioner
That's
Edwards.
all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Gray?
No, I second that. I think that was a big win. I know I posted it on my own commissioner Facebook page, and it probably got more shares and likes than just about anything else that I've shared with the public. So it's great to see the public momentum and support behind our efforts in Radium Springs as well.
I agree, and I'll say it was definitely a team effort. A lot of work went into that at the staff level, at the commissioner level. Mr. Lee, Mr. McCoy, Mr. Addison, Ms. Howell, us meeting with the legislators out at Radium Springs and literally showing them the project and having the video produced and pairing our own funding at the commission level. And then, there were some gas miles that were burned up between here and Atlanta too. So it was all very good. But very thankful for that, and thankful for this commission, thankful for everyone's safety. We're adjourned.
You better meet with all Mr. Thomas.